Hi guys, in this video I would be covering revision of chapter 8 performance measurement and evaluation. As you're aware, your entire syllabus is divided into two modules. We have strategic cost management and decision making as one module, and the other one is performance evaluation and managerial control. Under performance evaluation, the very first topic is performance measurement and evaluation. So in this chapter guys, we would be learning about the importance of responsibility accounting, how the organizations can be structured, why do we need good performance measures, what are the different types of performance measures that an organization can have in place. So broadly speaking, yes, we would be learning about organizational structures, responsibility accounting, divisional performance measures which are segregated into financial measures, combination of financial and non-financial measures, social environmental aspects would also be covered under one performance measure. Yaad rakhna beta, this chapter is all about how can you evaluate performances of your divisions, how can you evaluate the performance of an entire business organization, how can you achieve success or achieve all of your objectives in a well thought of manner. We will also be covering guys performance measurement in non-profit organizations. This is something which is really important guys, because a lot of international syllabus examinations guys, you would normally see a question coming from non-profit organizations. In the end guys, we also have benchmarking where the performances are mapped in relation to either external organizations or your own internal practices. So this is the broad structure of the entire chapter as such guys. They can be practical question as well as a theoretical question that can come from this chapter. Undoubtedly, this chapter beta is more relevant, more important from the viewpoint of theory, as all of these performance measures can be asked for case studies. November 2019, the very first question for 20 marks was also based guys on non-profit organizations. So yes, you will have to master this subject, master this topic as well as such guys. You have to be really good at it. Now, before we start your performance measures, let us understand what is responsibility accounting. We know guys, a large organization as such beta, there are functions and duties that are delegated guys. There are people responsible as such guys for certain tasks. So when people are responsible for certain tasks, when people have been entrusted with certain duties and jobs, you should also know guys that you'll have to evaluate their performances. You should know that they should be able to meet the desired outcomes, whatever are the required targets set by the organization. That is responsibility accounting guys, which says collection, summarization and reporting of financial information, where an individual manager is held responsible for certain costs, revenues or assets of the firm So an organization can be divided either on the basis of the functions that they perform, or an organization can be segregated on the basis of different products or divisions. Like I can have CEO of the company, under that I directly have a production head, under that I directly have a marketing head, under that I directly have, say guys, a research and development head or purchase department head. All of these people guys are reporting to the CEO, they handle different products. Or I can have the CEO of the organization, under that I have division A. Under division A or product A, marketing is taken care by someone else, production is taken care by someone else, purchases are taken up by somewhere else. So you can either divide an organization on the basis of the functions that they perform primarily, or on the basis of the products or the divisions that they're operating in. Remember, even if you divide them on the basis of functions, under that you will have different products. If you're dividing them on the basis of products, under that beta you will have different functions. But yes, an organization can be segregated either on the basis of functions that they perform or on the basis of the product that they're dealing with. Now, a responsibility center is something beta that is responsible for a certain task. We divide responsibility centers under costing beta into 4 categories: a cost center, profit center, revenue center and an investment center. A cost center is a department or a division or a function of an organization that is responsible only for cost. A cost center guys is a department or a function guys or an activity of an organization that is responsible only for cost. So to measure or evaluate the performance of such cost center, you will have to compare. I repeat, you will have to compare guys the actual cost incurred with the standards that have been set by the organization. This is how we normally evaluate the performances of cost centers. For example, a purchase department is not directly involved in generating revenues for the firm. So you can say that a purchase department or production department are cost centers. A revenue center on the other side guys is a department that is only responsible for generating revenues. Usually guys, the sales department is responsible for generating revenues, though they might be responsible for small element of selling cost also, but primarily they're responsible for generating revenues. So you can always say that a sales department is a revenue center. A department that is responsible for both cost as well as revenues beta is called as a profit center. Mainly guys, if an organization is segregated on the basis of different product lines, you will see that each product department head would be a profit center. He would not only be responsible for the costs that are being incurred under his department, but would also be responsible for the revenues that they are generating for the firm. An investment center beta is one that is responsible for the investments made for his particular division. An organization can be a cost center and an investment center. An organization can be a profit center and an investment center. Unless and until you know what is the responsibility that has been delegated to a particular center, you will not know how to evaluate the performances of such centers. So if you know it is a cost center, your approach to performance evaluation will be different. If you know it is a profit center, your approach to performance evaluation will be different. So yes, the first thing that you should know beta is whether it's a cost center, profit center, investment center guys, or a revenue center. Majority of the questions that you see beta, let it be divisional transfer pricing ke guys or this chapter, most of them beta would be profit centers. That means they will be responsible for cost as well as the revenues that they are generating, also responsible for the amount of investment that have been made at their divisional levels. So yes, before we talk about different performance evaluation measures, you should know what is a responsibility center, how an organization can be segregated. Talking about performance evaluation measures guys, a good measure as such guys should ensure that the divisional manager will take decisions from the viewpoint of the entire organization, not put his own goals prior or before to the goals of the entire organization, जिसको हम लोग goal congruence बोलते हैं guys. You will have to ensure that they're working for the team first. When you say beta cricket match, a player should play for the team first and then worry about his individual performance. Likewise, every division, every department should first worry about the goals of the organization and not worry about his or own profitability. This is a classic case beta that comes under almost all questions of divisional transfer pricing. We see beta that one division is bothered about their own profitability, that the entire organization might end up losing in the end because of that internal rivalry, internal conflicts. So the second one beta is your performance should be evaluated based on your controllable factors. Your performances cannot be evaluated based on uncontrollable factors. A sales department cannot be evaluated guys on the basis of production cost. Let they be evaluated, let those departments be evaluated only on the basis of the revenues that they are generating. Last one guys, you should recognize that both long-term as well as short-term objectives are important. Your performance measurements should not concentrate only on long-term objectives, or they should not be way too short-term in nature. Have long-term objectives in place and then break down them and see guys how will you achieve your short-term objectives to gradually reach your long-term objective. So yes, a good performance measure should be based on controllable factors, should motivate an employee for goal congruence as such guys, so that he's achieving the goals of the entire organization first as such guys and not worry about his own performance. And then last one, recognize long-term as well as short-term objectives. Remember, this will also become the comments part guys for multiple financial measures or non-financial measures. You should keep these points in mind. Talking about your performance measurements guys, performance measures, the first heading beta is financial performance measures. Under financial performance measure, as a part of CA final syllabus, we only have return on investment, residual income, economic value added, shareholders value added. Now return on investment, residual income has come as a part of November 19 question paper, also as a part of mock test paper of November 19. EVA guys, if it is coming in the examination, it would be a full-fledged question. Be prepared guys for EVA also. Shareholders value added would only be theoretical because shareholders value added is more a financial management concept than guys a cost concept. But anyways, the financial performance of an organization or a particular division can be evaluated on the basis of return on investment, residual income, economic value added, and shareholders value added. The very first part beta on that is return on investment, ROI. ROI guys is nothing but the return that a particular division is generating. Return, we call this as beta controllable profit or the amount of divisional profit. Before allocating common fixed cost, you will not allocate common fixed cost to divisional profits. Determine the profit that a particular division is responsible for. Determine a profit guys. You can say guys, remember we've spoken about contribution under divisional transfer pricing. So this is divisional contribution divided by the assets that are under the control of the division. The assets that are under the control of the division guys, ROI. Now the advantage of ROI beta is that it's a relative measure and not an absolute measure. The advantage guys of ROI is that it is an absolute relative measure and not a absolute measure, which means I can compare return on investment of one division with the return on investment of another division. I can compare return on investment of one division with the return on investment of another division. I do not have to worry about their size. Say guys, division A has an investment of 10,000 crores, division B has an investment of 100 crores. But obvious guys, the division A with the profit with an investment of 10,000 crores would generate higher amount of absolute profits. Higher amount of absolute profits. So we cannot compare absolute values as such guys. That is where return on investment being a relative measure comes into picture. But return on investment has a serious drawback. It can result in lack of goal congruence. It can result in decision making which is suboptimal from the viewpoint of the entire organization. Now what is that guys? Imagine guys, division A existing return on investment is 7%. Overall cost of capital of the company is 10%. Overall cost of capital of the company is 10%. Their existing ROI is 7%. They are underperforming. They receive a new project with an ROI of 8%. They receive a new proposal with an ROI of 8%. Now, from the viewpoint of organization, this 8% should be rejected because it is below the threshold of 10%. From the viewpoint of organization, this 8% should be rejected because it is below the threshold of 10%. But division A beta would be inclined towards accepting it, as if you combine 8% ROI with 7%, it will increase his own return on investment. If you combine 8% with 7% beta, his own return on investment will be increased. Yes or no guys? On the other hand beta, take another case. Division B guys, existing ROI is 15%. They receive a new proposal with an ROI of 13%. Now think from the viewpoint of organization, cost of capital is 10% but ROI is 13%. You should accept the project. But division B beta will not be inclined towards accepting it, because if he is accepting 13%, his overall ROI will decrease. His overall ROI will decrease from 15% to 13%. He will be worried about his own performance evaluation. So this is where ROI beta can result in suboptimal decision making. But still the advantage of ROI is what guys? It can be compared. Remember, this advantage, disadvantage is very important for examination. They will for sure ask it as a comment if there's a question coming on ROI. The second performance measure, I hope you've understood what is the advantage and disadvantage of ROI. The second performance measure guys under financial measures is residual income. Now residual income guys is the leftover portion after providing a charge on your capital. After providing a charge as such guys, cost of capital beta charge on divisional assets. Matlab you will take divisional profit as such beta into consideration minus deduct whatever is the cost of capital on the amount of investment made in the assets. So residual income is more like the surplus amount generated over and above the cost of capital, but the surplus profit created over and above the cost of capital. One serious drawback of residual income guys is that it is an absolute measure and cannot be compared. However guys, remember, residual income will ensure that the divisional managers accept only those projects that are beneficial from the viewpoint of organization. If the ROI is less than cost of capital, obviously division manager will not accept it because it will result in negative residual income. If the ROI is more than cost of capital, divisional manager will for sure accept it because residual income will be positive. Apart from that guys, in the general questions that we did in the class, we've also seen scenarios where a particular divisional manager was delaying investments only because he thought his ROI will decrease. That is why they were not making fresh investments in their particular departments, which was detrimental, which was not correct from the viewpoint of entire organization. So ROI का एक advantage है, which becomes a disadvantage for RI. Residual income advantage beta becomes a disadvantage for return on investment. I hope you're clear about residual income and return on investment. Do not forget to go through the notes that were given in the class as such guys, and ensure that you practice those questions also properly. Economic value added beta is the next concept here. Ek second beta, there seems to be some problem. Yes guys, economic value added beta is the next concept under financial measures. We did return on investment, we did residual income. Economic value added guys is an economic profit. This is more guys in economic terms rather than beta your accounting profit. Now economic profit guys is also your net operating profit after taxes minus what is the cost of capital on the investment made in the firm. I repeat guys, it is net operating profit after taxes minus what is the cost of capital guys on the capital that has been employed in a particular division. We have done EVA guys as a part of our strategic financial management also guys. वो वहाँ पे भी ये कॉन्सेप्ट कवर्ड है. बट रिमेंबर गाइस, EVA is not based on book profit guys. There are certain adjustments required to be made to book profit. First thing guys, when you compute your weighted average cost of capital guys on capital employed, it should be as a percentage of opening capital employed, not as a percentage of closing capital employed. Next beta, you do not consider book depreciation for computing net operating profit after taxes. You consider economic depreciation. That is a true decrease in the value of an asset. You will not consider non-cash expenses like provision for depreciation guys, deferred taxes. You will only take actual taxes into consideration, and also the tax impact on account of interest. Tax impact on account of interest. Few expenses guys that are not eligible for capitalization as per accounting policies, like research and development, employee training, advertisements, they're actually capitalized here and not shown as expenses guys, not shown as expenses. That is the difference guys. It is not based on your book profit, it is based on it is not based on your book profit, it is based on economic profit. EVA is an amazing concept beta. There also a detailed video guys on EVA guys, EVO kate. There's also a detailed video guys on EVA uploaded on the YouTube channel. You can view that guys. It's a 3-hour session which covers detailed problem solving also. Next beta is shareholders value added, a pure case of financial management guys. Shareholders value added beta is analyzing how decisions affect the NPV of cash to shareholders, how a particular decision would affect the NPV. We all know beta NPV is nothing but the net increase in wealth or decrease in wealth of a shareholder. If NPV is positive, you are basically creating so much wealth for your shareholders. If NPV is negative, you will be destroying wealth to that extent. So in terms of wealth beta, there are 7 drivers. Yes, 7 drivers guys. As a finance student, you should not be worried about this because this is purely based on free cash flow model. It's like how you compute free cash flows beta available to your firm or available to equity shareholders. वही concept है beta. You will take capital investments, you will take investment in working capital, you will take operating profits, you should take growth rate in sales, you should take taxes into consideration. What is the amount of capital invested? What is your weighted average cost of capital? Present value of all your free cash flows as such beta will be compared. Present value of all the free cash flows will be compared with the amount of investment that is made, and that would become the NPV. Yes or no guys? So this is more like a discounted cash flow model beta. This becomes your shareholders value added. These are all your financial measures guys: ROI, residual income, economic value added, shareholders value added. Do not forget guys, it is very important to know the advantage and disadvantage as such guys, so that can be used as writing a comment as to why particular divisions are not accepting RI or are not accepting return on investment. I hope guys all the financial measures are clear and there is no doubt guys about it. Now before we move to combination of financial or non-financial measures, or before we move to triple bottom line, everyone should know beta as to what is a critical success factor and what is a key performance indicator. When we use the word critical success factor guys, the name itself suggests critical success factor. What is critical for the success of the organization? Sandhi Vichhed guys, just simply divide the term guys. Term divide cheyandi, you will get the answer. So what is that beta is critical for the success of the organization becomes your critical success factor. Critical for the success of an organization. So an organization will identify guys critical success factors. Not one beta, you can have multiple critical success factors for multiple functions, for multiple stakeholders, for multiple divisions. Okay, so that is a critical success factor. Like some of them might say beta that top-notch research and development is a critical success factor. You'll have to keep innovating and keep bringing out new products continuously. Only then you will be able to survive in this market. Someone might say it is customer satisfaction in terms of delivery time to the consumer. Consumer is more worried about delivery time. Few consumers are more worried about the quality of the product. So a competitive price at which the product is being delivered. So what is critical to the success of an organization is a critical success factor. And how will you measure that? How will you measure that is a key performance indicator guys. How will you measure it? Just if I talk about delivery time as such guys, I would say number of on-time deliveries. If I talk about quality, I would say number of defects or number of returns. If I talk about profits, I can say it is net profit, economic value added, return on investment, RI, something guys. So how are you going to measure beta is a key performance indicator. Okay, we measure the performance of a student guys by the marks that is scoring in the examination. So key performance indicator is your performance in the examination. Likewise beta, for every critical success factor guys, you will have a key performance indicator, or you may have more than one key performance indicator. There is no such thing beta that you should have only one key performance indicator for one critical success factor. You can always have more than one key performance indicator beta for a particular critical success factor. Guys, apply this in your real life also as such beta, and you will do wonders. You will always do wonders. This is the best way of evaluating your own performances guys. I'm not talking only about exams. This can be applied to any field as such guys. So here there are a couple of examples given beta which I just spoke about. Now guys, before we do combination of financial and non-financial measures guys, I have triple bottom line here. Triple bottom line. As CA students guys, we should know that top line is revenue. When we use the word top line, we're talking about revenue. When we use the word bottom line, we're talking about profits. Top line beta is revenue, bottom line is profits. So when you're using the word top line, we are referring to revenues. When you're using the word bottom line as such guys, we are referring to profits. Triple bottom line goes against the concept of single bottom line. Triple bottom line beta states that earlier traditional systems guys, traditional businesses always used to consider guys only one bottom line, and that is the profit of the company. Triple bottom line states there are three P's that are important, three bottom lines that you should consider. Not only profits, but also do consider people and the planet. Not only profits guys, you should also consider people and planet, which means it says you consider economic aspect, profitability should be considered, but apart from profitability, please also consider social measures and environmental measures. For each of them guys, you should have certain targets, you should have certain objectives that are required to be met. That is how an organization will grow. A lot of organizations that have been talking about sustainability reporting, you will see a lot of things but of triple bottom line forming part of the sustainability reporting of organizations, especially those organizations that know that they're doing harm to the entire world. Jesse guys, I've given so many examples, but a classic example for triple bottom line was Coca-Cola manufacturing plants, Coca-Cola initiatives about how they were trying to rebuild their brand image, rebuild their entire image in the market guys. So triple bottom line states as against a single bottom line, beta, that is only profitability, you should consider three bottom lines. Even this came in the examination. They gave 4 or 5 measures and they asked you to identify under which bottom line does it come. Does it come under economic aspect, does it come under environmental aspect, or does it come under societal aspect? They just ask students to identify that, but nothing else. So this is about triple bottom line. So we did financial measures, we did triple bottom line. Now we will be moving on to guys combinations of financial and non-financial measures. Remember guys, triple bottom line, combination of financial and non-financial measures are all very, very important for case study. I repeat, very, very important for case study. In fact, you must have noticed a majority of the case studies are in relation to these concepts only. So under combination of financial and non-financial measures, we will be talking about balance scorecard, we will be talking about building block model, performance prism, performance pyramid. 4 things guys. We have balance scorecard, building block model, performance prism, and performance pyramid as such guys. I'll just pause the video for a second to drink water and I'll continue. Yes guys, so we just spoke about triple bottom line, but coming to balance scorecard guys now, which is under combination of financial and non-financial measures. Now guys, traditional businesses guys, success was purely based on the amount of investment that they made in the organizations, how well they have managed financial assets. But then now if you look at the success of an organization guys, it is all about the investments in intangibles that they make. How are they utilizing the information properly? Are they able to deliver the right product that is required for the consumer guys? Are they able to retain customers? Are they able to enter into new customer lines? Are they able to mobilize skills? All of this better drive the success of an organization in the modern world. Now balance scorecard guys is basically guys measuring or is measuring the performance of the organization under 4 perspectives. Under 4 perspectives as such guys, where the organizational performance is measured. Broadly better we say 2 categories, financial and non-financial. Under non-financial we have customer perspective, internal business perspective, learning and growth perspective. Please understand guys, under balance scorecard, the stakeholders, the one who are interested in the affairs of the organization, the stakeholders beta who are considered are your customers, shareholders and employees. To certain extent employees, customers, shareholders and to some extent employees as such beta. These are the stakeholders who are considered under balance scorecard. Balance scorecard is measuring the performance of the organization under 4 dimensions. We have financial perspective, customer perspective, internal business perspective guys, and learning and growth perspective. Now what exactly are these perspectives guys? Now your financial perspective beta will be answering a simple question: how are the shareholders looking at the organization? How do we look to our shareholders? Are we able to ensure that the strategies that are implemented are able to achieve the desired profitability levels? Are they improving the earning and growth of the company or not? So that is your financial perspective. How well are we doing in terms of profitability? So you will have to ensure that whatever are the objectives that are set by an organization, for that related strategies help us in achieving all the financial targets, help us in achieving the financial targets. Customer perspective, but I will talk about how are the customers looking at the organization. Are we able to achieve the desired level of customer satisfaction? Are we able to deliver the product that is required by the consumer? Are we able to attract new customers or not? Are we able to retain customers or not? All of that beta would come under customer perspective. And then guys, internal business perspective talks about what are the processes and activities that are required to achieve your financial perspective and your customer perspective. That is, at what must we excel? What is the scope for improvement as such guys within the organization? Learning and growth perspective guys is how do we continuously create value guys? How do we continuously learn and create value better? How do we continuously improvise? That is about bringing out new things better. That comes under learning and growth perspective. So yes, we are evaluating the performance of an organization under these four perspectives: financial perspective, customer perspective, internal business perspective, learning and growth perspective. Always understand better, internal business perspective is about your internal operations as such guys. Internal operations. If you are setting up service centers all across the country as such guys, that service centers is to achieve financial customer perspective, better customer service. That will be guys internal business perspective and not learning and growth perspective. The rate at which new products are launched as such guys would be internal business perspective. You are being able to bring out an innovative product in the market guys is learning and growth perspective. Technology leadership, market leadership, all will come under learning and growth perspective. But your internal processes that are required guys, that needs to be developed, would come under internal business perspective. Now, remember, a balanced scorecard considers both long-term and short-term objectives as such guys. As I told you, it considers stakeholders like customers, shareholders and employees. Ultimate objective of balanced scorecard is simple: improve financial performance. But guys, in reality, balanced scorecard fails. Problem beta is when you ask your management to prepare balanced scorecard, they're simply copying a balanced scorecard of some other organization. They download it and they copy it. Or few people think it is a mere reporting tool. Few people think it is a reporting tool only. It has nothing to do with improvement of performances. Few people are merely copying someone else's balance scorecard. Remember, every organization is different. Few people think that balance scorecard is already implemented because they have some non-financial measures. Only because you have non-financial measures does not mean balance scorecard is already implemented, guys. And if few people better delegate this, everyone should be involved in the organization, guys. Only then you will be able to achieve success. So if in the examination guys, if there's a question about you considering both financial and non-financial perspectives, that is a hint. Please pick up balance scorecard. Whenever there's a case study on balance scorecard guys, try to recollect all the four side headings, all the four perspectives as such guys, and all the list of possible things that can come under this: customer satisfaction, whatever guys, and then try to read the question. I told you guys, when there's a case study coming in the examination, the first thing that you're supposed to do is read the requirement. Once you read the requirement, then go back to the question guys and see what are all the things that you can be fitted in. That is how you answer guys a case study. Anyways beta, coming back to this, I spoke about what a balanced scorecard is all about, how financial and non-financial measures beta are being covered under balanced scorecard. Another important thing beta is, for every perspective guys, for every perspective you will have, for every perspective guys under balanced scorecard, perfect, you will have objectives defined. What is that you want to achieve? What are the critical success factors as far as financial performance is concerned, customer satisfaction is concerned? How are you going to measure it? That is better your measures, key performance indicators. For every perspective, you will have an objective, you will have a measure. What is the target that you have set for that key performance indicators, and what are the initiatives undertaken to achieve those targets? This is how guys your BSC reporting should be done. Balance scorecard reporting should be done guys. For example guys, your objective guys is to improve profitability. For that you think net profit is the measure. You have put a target of 40,000 crore rupees net profit. What initiatives did you take to achieve that profitability? This is how you should report guys to the top management. This is how internal reporting should be done. Customer satisfaction mein beta, say you talk about on-time delivery as your critical success factors. Then how are you measuring that on-time delivery? Percentage of on-time deliveries. A target that you have set beta, say 96% should be delivered on time. What measures did you undertake as such guys for such on-time deliveries? Do you have smaller warehouses spread all across the country so that faster deliveries can be made? This is how, guys, balance scorecard reporting should be done. I hope you're now trying to get a holistic view as such, guys, of financial and non-financial perspectives covered under balance scorecard. After balance scorecard, beta, we have performance pyramid. Performance pyramid, guys, is again one financial, guys, har jagah brackets mein I gave the name of the people, guys, who have given this performance measure. So this is by Cross and Lynch. Performance prism, guys, is another performance evaluation measure that considers only two stakeholders as such, guys. I would say it considers your financial performance and your customers, guys. It talks about only customers, guys, and financial performance. Anyways, beta, performance pyramid name is because it is structured in the form of a pyramid. You have the vision or the mission of the organization, beta, that talks about how the company will achieve their long-term objectives and the competitive advantage. How is that an organization going to achieve? At the top, beta, we have vision or mission of the organization describing about how the organization will achieve the long-term objectives and the competitive advantage. Under that only, beta, we have the business systems that you talk, business units that you talk about, guys. We try to relate them better to market related measures and financial measures. Basically, guys, your critical success factors as far as the market is concerned, as far as financial perspective is concerned. Market related measures and financial perspective, you are trying to define your critical success factors in terms of this. You will be able to achieve your market related critical success factors, guys, by working on customer satisfaction and by working better on flexibility, of operations, as well as better you will be able to achieve your financial perspectives by working on your flexibility and productivity. Better productivity will improve profitability, guys. Better flexibility will also improve your profitability. Customer satisfaction and as well as flexibility of operations better will determine your market related success. Customer satisfaction will depend upon the quality of the product and the delivery time. How quickly are you able to deliver the product and what is the quality of the product? That is, ye dekho beta, everything is related. If you see, guys, this is the beauty of this. Related matlab beta, ye jo arrow marks hai dekho, vision is related to market related measures and financial related measures. Market again is related to customer satisfaction and flexibility. Financial is related to flexibility and productivity. Customer satisfaction again beta is being defined in terms of quality and delivery cycle time. Flexibility of operations is delivery cycle time and manufacturing cycle time. अरे यार ये erase हो गया, एक सेकंड बेटा. हाँ, this is manufacturing cycle time. Productivity of operations beta is again manufacturing cycle time and the wastages that are being created. Your productivity would be high, guys, if you can reduce the manufacturing cycle time and reduce the wastages. Your flexibility of operations would be very high if you're able to reduce the delivery cycle time and you're able to reduce the manufacturing cycle time. I wouldn't expect a very detailed case study on performance pyramid as such, guys. It should be simple, wherein they will define all of it. You only have to write beta under what does a particular aspect come. They will talk about quality. You should know that quality comes under customer satisfaction, delivery comes under flexibility of operations, manufacturing cycle time also comes under flexibility, delivery comes under customer satisfaction also. You should be able to relate it as such, guys. That is what is expected. If you notice, guys, the entire left part of this beta is in relation to external effectiveness, in relation to the external factors, and the entire right hand side as such beta is in relation to internal efficiencies. Left side beta of the pyramid is external factors and the right side as such beta is internal efficiencies. Do not forget beta, performance pyramid again takes only two stakeholders into consideration, and that is your profitability beta, financial measures, owners, and the other ones beta are customers. Everything is related. This is what performance pyramid beta talks about. The next one, guys, here is building block model. Now building block model, guys, is a performance measure that is primarily applicable, guys, to service industry. There's a classic example of restaurant as such, guys, in relation to which they've asked a building block model case study. So do not forget to go through that case study. Your building block model, guys, the name is basically, guys, practical में बेटा बहुत सारे variants है building block models के, but what is covered in our syllabus बेटा is that you have three building blocks बेटा on which the entire performance measure is based. You have standards, you have rewards, and you have dimensions. When you say standards as such beta, these are basically the targets that an particular department or a particular employee is supposed to achieve. Rewards beta is what is the benefit, or how are you going to reward the employees, how are you going to reward a particular department. And then finally beta, dimensions, that how are you going to achieve your results and what are the determinants, what factors will affect these results, what factors beta would affect these results. As far as standards are concerned, guys, that is the targets that you are fixing for different departments as such, guys. Remember, those targets beta should be achievable. If you set way too achievable beta, This is what your building block model says. If you set very difficult targets as such, guys, the employees will not be motivated to perform better. Setting very difficult targets as such, beta, you are basically demotivating the employees. They will not be inclined towards achieving. As you keep increasing the difficulty levels, beta, the performances will keep reducing. So yes, they should be achievable, guys. Targets that you give should be achievable. Only then the performance of the organization will be improved. The employees should have a sense of ownership as such, guys. Involve them in the standard setting process. Involve the employees who are responsible to execute the process in the standard setting process. If you involve them in the standard setting process, beta, they will have a sense of ownership. They will know, beta, that they are involved in this process and hence it is achievable. They will be able to perform better. So bring in that sense of ownership, guys. Equity. The targets, beta, should more or less have the same difficulty level for all the departments or the divisions. If one department is given a very less target and the other department is given a very high target, again there will be finger pointing as such, beta, in the entire organization. So yes, there is equity, there is achievability, and then there is ownership. Achievability matlab kya, guys? The target should not be way too difficult. The targets should be something that are achievable. Ownership, guys, let the employees be given a sense of ownership by involving them in the standard setting process. Equity, guys, is again the difficulty level should be same for all the departments or the divisions or the employees. That is the first building block, beta, here. Standards. Rewards, beta. The rewards should be something that is motivating the employees, beta, to work better. You cannot tell them, do very good, I will give you a chocolate. Laughe marenge, beta. Yes or no? So the rewards should be motivating, guys. Something that, that is encouraging the employees to perform better. So whatever reward scheme that you're fixing in, guys, ensure that it is a good reward for the employee. The reward should be very clear as such, guys, very clear, and communicated properly to the employees. When you say clear and communicated properly to the employees, beta, you should not be like, perform better, I will give a very good reward on a later date. What is very good? Please define. It is subjective. Define the reward system very clearly, guys, and communicate it properly to the employees. Tell them, if you do this, you will get this. Controllability. Let the reward be based on factors that are controllable by the employees. If you try to evaluate their performance based on uncontrollable factors, it is unjust. It is not correct. So yes, the rewards that are being fixed by an organization, beta, should be motivating. They should be very clearly communicated to the employees as such, guys, and yes, they should be based on controllable factors. So that is the second building block, beta. Here we have spoken about the targets, that is standards, and then, beta, we've spoken about the rewards. Yes. Now, guys, the dimensions. It says, beta, the results that an organization would want to achieve should be segregated under two categories. One is financial performance. The other one is competitive performance. Financial performance and competitive performance. Financial performance, like the profitability of an organization, guys, their net profit margins, gross profit margins, total revenues. Competitive performance, beta, is relative market share, the market size of the company in relation to your competitors. What is the position of the company? So that is competitive performance and financial performance. It says, in order to achieve those results, an organization should work on quality, should work on flexibility, should work on innovation and resource utilization. When you say quality of the product, beta, we're talking about the dimensions of quality: durability, reliability, customer on-time delivery, guys, aesthetics of a product, customer complaints. Work on all of those aspects. Define, matlab iske har ek aspect ke niche, beta, again you'll have those key performance measures, that this is what you're trying to achieve. Flexibility of operations, guys, is again delivery cycle time, design cycle time, manufacturing cycle time. Reduce your manufacturing cycle time, reduce your design cycle time, so that you will be able to quickly incorporate the changes. Innovation as such, guys, is the employees should be continuously motivated as such, better, to bring out new products being launched as such, guys, new ways of performing the work. Just if you still try to recollect the restaurant example, guys, they were trying to bring out new products, new food items, guys, healthy food items, healthy food options to the customers. Resource utilization, better, is the effectiveness and the efficiency of the resources that you have. Are you efficiently utilizing them or not? So this is what comes under the building block model, beta. Simple hai. It says the standards that are set, guys, by an organization should be just and fair for all of them, guys. Equity, that is, they should be achievable, and the employee should have a sense of ownership. The reward system should be motivated, clearly communicated to the employees, and it should be based on controllable factors. The results that you want to achieve are defined in terms of financial performance and competitive performance. Isme capital structure, cost of capital, sab kuch aa jayega, beta. And determinants, beta, the one that will be responsible for achieving the results would be in terms of quality, flexibility, innovation, guys, and resource utilization. So that's the third performance measure, guys, under combination of financial and non-financial. We did balance scorecard, we did performance pyramid, and then beta we did building block model. The next one, guys, is performance prism, given by Andy Neely and Chris Adams. Whenever the question talks about can you suggest and a performance evaluation measure which considers all stakeholders of an organization, you know beta the answer is performance prism. Performance prism, guys, takes all the stakeholders of an organization into consideration, right from the providers of capital, that is the owners, debt providers, your customers, your suppliers, government, guys, the society at large. Everyone beta is considered: society, government, suppliers, shareholders, customers, employees. All stakeholders beta are considered under performance prism. Performance prism beta is basically the word prism as such beta here comes because of the 5 facets a performance prism has. Each face as such beta indicates one thing. Each side is indicating one thing. So the 5 aspects covered here beta: stakeholders satisfaction, stakeholders contribution, strategies, processes, and capabilities. I repeat: stakeholders satisfaction, stakeholders contribution, strategies, processes, and capabilities. 5 faces indicating these. I repeat again, if you know the question is on performance prism, try recollecting all of these side headings, then read the question and try to fit in the information under these side headings. It will become dead easy. So stakeholder satisfaction beta defines one simple thing: what are the needs and wants of stakeholders? What are the needs and wants of stakeholders? What is that a stakeholder wants from the organization? The owner of the organization would obviously want good profitability. Customer beta would want a better quality product at a reasonable price. The supplier would want a long-term profitable relationship, timely payments as such, guys, good volumes of business. The government would want beta you paying duties on your time, and then, guys, ensuring that you're utilizing the resources in the most optimal manner. The society at large beta would want a little contribution towards the society, the common community development and everything. And then, guys, did we miss out any stakeholder? Employees beta would always want creative work, good payment, or what else would an employee want? So this is about defining all the needs and wants of your stakeholders. हर एक stakeholder को उठाओ बेटा और उसका needs and wants define करो. Do not forget there is Mandela matrix, guys. Based on power and level of interest, guys, you can define your stakeholders into 4 categories beta. Coming back to this beta here, as I said, first phase it is that beta. First phase here says what are the needs and requirements of stakeholders. Define that first. Next beta is stakeholders contribution. अब उल्टा है बेटा, what is that you need from the stakeholders? What is that you are expecting from your stakeholders? As far as the providers of capital are concerned, guys, you would expect that they are providing you a good amount of capital and they have a risk appetite. They are willing to take risk. As far as customers are concerned, beta, you would expect a profitable relation from them, a little loyalty as such, guys, so that they are buying your products continuously. As far as suppliers are concerned, you will expect a better quality product, timely delivery of product as such, guys, at a reasonable price. As far as employees are concerned, you would expect top quality work as such beta, efficiency of operations, so that they are able to meet deadlines, they are able to perform properly. As far as government is concerned, beta, you would expect better regulations, ease of doing business. Society at large is concerned as such, guys, you would also expect a little contribution from them, as in terms of a little corporate governance beta. जो भी है, you would expect them better to praise the organization. Strategies, guys. Now that you've defined what is a stakeholder need and a stakeholder contribution better, what is that you need from the stakeholders, what is that they need from the company as such better, then come strategies. This is about the step taken now. Define the strategies that are required to ensure better that you're able to meet the stakeholders needs. At the same time, guys, the stakeholders contribution, that is what you need from the stakeholders, is met with. So here comes defining the strategies that an organization needs to ensure that the first 2 phases are being complied with. Then beta is processes. Once you have defined the strategies as such, guys, you will have to see whether you have sufficient processes or not. Are you supposed to improvise on those processes to achieve the required strategies or not? Processes beta कुछ भी हो सकता है. If you talk about customer satisfaction, guys, under processes, you may talk about the internal delivery channels. How should you improvise the delivery channels? Is there a should we include new delivery channels or not? Sub beta, internal processes and activities. That is under the 4th phase beta here. And the last one beta is capabilities. For those processes, guys, for operating those processes, for enhancing those processes, do you have the required capabilities or not? The skills and resources required. That is capability as such, guys. If not, please work on that. So line में जाना है बेटा. Should always define stakeholders needs, stakeholders contribution first, then come down to strategy part, then come down to the processes part guys, and then finally guys capabilities. Do not forget beta, capability guys is all about ensuring that you have the required skills and resources for operating and improvising guys the processes that you are defined under the fourth phase. So that is about the financial and non-financial measures guys. We've spoken about performance pyramid, performance prism guys. We've spoken about building block model and balanced scorecard. Do not forget the very important from the viewpoint of examination. Benchmarking is the next concept that we're going to learn better here. Benchmarking is nothing but better what do you know? Benchmarking is you are trying to map your performance against something else. That something else can be the best industrial practice, or that something else better can be your own internal practices. That is benchmarking. It is basically a step that you're taking better for continuous improvement in performance. Better. So benchmarking is a technique for continuous improvement in performance guys. It involves comparing a firm's products, services or activities against the other best performing organizations, either internal or external to an organization. Either internally or externally. It's like someone has scored 85 beta in this paper. I need to set a target of 85. I'm benchmarking myself against it. So you will try to improvise your performance by comparing your performance beta with some other best industrial practice. That is benchmarking as such guys. Now types of benchmarking beta, different types of benchmarkings that we have guys here. Ek second beta. Yes beta. So I was talking about types of benchmarking beta here. As far as the types of benchmarking is concerned, beta, first one is competitive benchmarking. The name itself suggests, beta, when you say competitive benchmarking, beta, you're comparing the performance of your firm, guys, with that of your competitors. You are comparing the performance of your firm, beta, with that of your competitors as such, guys. It can be comparing processors, products, or any other services. Strategic benchmarking beta involves comparison of long-term strategies, that is in-depth analysis of all the long-term strategies that are required for success of an organization. Global benchmarking beta is with international culture, comparing your organization with organizations all around the world. Process benchmarking beta is undertaking the analysis of a particular activity or the process that an organization is undertaking. So say I'm comparing say selling and distribution function of my organization, or I'm comparing delivery function of my organization. Functional benchmarking beta will be comparing people from different sectors, people from different industries as such beta would come together and try to compare their common performances. Internal beta is internal guys is within the organization, external is with someone outside the organization. Intra group beta is same industry comparison. Inter industry beta is different industries but comparing a common measure, common process beta that is undertaken. It doesn't matter beta as to what type of benchmarking are we talking about. Ultimately guys, the goal of benchmarking is to improvise your performances. You will reduce your manufacturing cycle time, improve customer service, improve productivity, quality of the product, reduce your production cost, customer satisfaction, better revenues as such guys, take lesser time to manufacture the product. Are we clear beta? And then guys, after that guys, we have performance measurement in non-profit organizations as such guys. Performance measurement, final part, very important from the viewpoint of examination. Again, performance measurement in NPO. Now non-profit organizations guys, why is it so important? Why is it difficult to measure performance under non-profit organization? All of these points are important guys. It is very difficult to quantify the benefits of a non-profit organization. How will you quantify the benefit guys? If you are educating children, if you are curing diseases, you're working with a non-profit motive as such guys, how will you quantify those benefits? It is very difficult better to quantify the benefits that are derived from a non-profit organization. Then benefits may accrue over a very long period. If there is any infrastructure development, you will see better those benefits accruing over a very long period. You are educating a child today, you will see the success of that child better maybe 15 years later or 20 years down the line. Multiple objectives guys, not necessary better that a non-profit organization should have only one objective. There can be multiple objectives of that non-profit organization as such guys. So again, it would be important to know as to which is a superior objective, which is not a superior objective as such guys. Measurement of utilization of funds and expenditure. Ultimately guys, under a non-profit organization, what do we try to measure guys? Are the funds that we have, how are we utilizing the funds guys? How are we incurring expenses? How are we incurring expenses? Remember guys, I gave a lot of examples in relation to those charitable organizations which are which are involved in educating children across different fields. I gave the example of you distributing mosquito nets to people, the such guys, with an objective of reducing the spread of diseases. All of that beta would come. These difficulties are important beta. You will not be able to quantify benefits. The benefits might actually accrue over a very long term. There might be multiple objectives in a non-profit organization, and ultimately it is all about measuring the utilization of funds and expenditure. There are two ways of evaluating performance under non-profit organization guys. We have value for money framework, and then beta we have adapted balance scorecard. We have value for money framework guys, and then we have adapted balanced scorecard. When you say value for money framework as such guys, there are 3 E's under this: economy, efficiency, effectiveness. The rate at which inputs are acquired guys, the amount that you spend on the inputs guys, is economy of operations. Efficiency of operations beta is the rate at which the inputs are being converted into outputs. Effectiveness beta is the impact or the rate at which outputs are created into outcomes as such guys. How effective is your output, and what is the rate at which outputs are converted into outcomes? If you try to recollect the example guys, where cost of procuring inputs guys, just if you are a charitable organization as such guys, say you are in the business, or business nahi, say your objective is to educate children. The amount of salaries that you are paying to your lecturers as such guys, the amount that you spend on books, the amount that you spend on infrastructure, the amount that you spend on stationery is economy of operations guys. Economy of operations there. Efficiency of operations beta is how many students are you able to cover as such guys, the rate at which inputs are be able to convert it into outputs. How many students are you able to cover as such beta? Effectiveness beta is ठीक है, you have imparted education. Did the students excel? Did the students excel guys? As I remember that example guys, wherein under a research they found out that only 11% students beta who were educated under a non-profit organization scheme knew basic maths. Only 11% students knew basic maths as such guys. So yes, effectiveness beta is the outputs. How effective are those outputs that you're creating guys? Everything is important there. Government spends a lot of money as such guys, on a lot of money guys, so वहाँ पे economy and efficiency is being considered, but no one bothers about the effectiveness as such guys. So you have bought a lot of mosquito nets as such guys and given it to poor people, but those mosquito nets were not even effective. The mosquitoes were easily passing through that mosquito net as such guys. What's the point of distributing it? For the sake of charity beta, you are distributing, say guys, a lot of during winter seasons as such guys, you think that you should be distributing a lot of bed sheets as such guys, or say beta blankets beta, sorry, bed sheets, you think that you are distributing blankets, or during summer season beta you want to distribute ACs or fans, but third class AC diye beta, third class blanket diye, that is not even serving the purpose. Effectiveness zero hai. So you should know the clear-cut difference between economy of operations, efficiency, and effectiveness. The other approach beta here is adapted balance scorecard. Under this also we have financial perspective, customer perspective, internal process perspective, innovation and learning. Under financial perspective guys, it will all be about how many funds are you raising, what is the cost of raising funds, what is the growth in the funds raised. I can evaluate the performance of NPO like that. How much money are we raising, how much is the cost that is incurred beta in raising those funds. Customer perspective beta is the satisfaction of the ultimate beneficiary. Who is that who's getting benefited out of this? Is he really satisfied or not? That is the satisfaction of beneficiary. Internal process perspective beta is whoever are the volunteers as such guys, volunteer development as such beta, the quality of internal operations. Innovation and learning as such guys, we can train our volunteers as such guys on a continuous basis, and then we are able to adapt to the changing environment. So yes beta, the performance of a non-profit organization can be evaluated either using a value for money framework or either using an adapted balance scorecard. That is what is covered in this chapter beta, the theory aspect. So do not forget guys, performance measurement and evaluation guys is financial measures, financial and non-financial measures, and then triple bottom line. Under financial measures we had return on investment, residual income guys, economic value added, shareholders value added. Under combination of financial and non-financial measures guys, we had apna kya beta, performance prism, performance pyramid, building block model guys, and then guys balance scorecard. Apart from that we had triple bottom line, and then guys we had benchmarking, and finally performance measurement in non-profit organization, under which you have value for money framework as well as adapted balanced scorecard. I hope you all understood this guys. Thank you. I'll see you guys in the next session.